The future belongs to the young and the brave. And today with us, we have in my show the geopolitical analyst Rafael Kaliviotis. Rafael, floor's on you. Take a minute and introduce yourself. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I started studying political science in Athens, the University of Athens. Then I went to Cardiff University Business School in order to study maritime policy. Afterwards, I returned to Greece to fulfill my military service. And afterwards, for several years, 12, 13 years, I've been a part of Greece's maritime industry, either playing a role in maritime insurance, either as a broker of selling and purchasing vessels. And afterwards, I decided to have a shift in my career and joined as a political analyst, newspapers, TV presentation, and of course having my own podcast in Greece and our own YouTube channel, Right to the Bone. So from then onwards, my career turned absolutely in political analysis, and also I'm doing a PhD on geopolitics. So pretty much this
So rich background.
summons this is a synopsis of my career.
It's a good synopsis and a very rich background. What prompted this change from shipping into political analysis? Is there something you see that you don't like?
Well, because of Greece's political system, because of Greece's vague and hard black future that I see coming upon us, I couldn't stay focused only on my personal career. Because I think that each person, should offer something to society. And I felt that as a journalist, as a political and geopolitical analyst, I am serving more Greece's future than just staying in the maritime sector. So I felt that it was now or never. And I feel that the period that we live in is a very critical one.
Tell me more. Why do you think it's critical?
Well, first of all, when I joined journalism, and when I joined to being an advisor for a member of the parliament, the situation was very, very difficult, especially in the international era, because we had a government in the US, the Joe Biden government, that was that was going to turn the West in a woke post democracy, which meant that every sector of our life would be quite relevant, that society wasn't nation-based society, nation-state-based society, but several groups inside a nation-state, which, in my opinion, led to a global government as expressed in the World Economic Forum. You will know nothing and you will be happy. So Greece's role and Greece's part in this woke post-democracy was a critical one, because if Greece fell into a woke post-democracy, we have some not very friendly neighbors, the Turkish ones, uh, who would see this as an opportunity for a soft, uh, aging nation to be their prey. So it felt more or less as a national obligation.
Do you feel that Greece hasn't fallen into this wokeism, whether it's industry based? And let me explain why I'm asking, because I saw it very heavily in my industry, right? So there was a lot of wokeism, and if you didn't belong to a specific group with specific characteristics, you were ostracized, you couldn't talk, you couldn't do much. And that led to very, very, very peculiar situations, both at work and for some people an inevitable downfall. And this has crossed over across to many, many companies that I have joined as part of my industry. So, do you think Greece fell for wokeism, or it has fought very viciously against it?
Well, the thing with Greece is, and this is something I feel that even Samuel Huntington was wrong regarding Greece, because he felt, of course, most of his predictions were correct. But regarding Greece, its Orthodox heritage and the strong belief of people in Greece in Orthodox Christianity is something that helped Greece for at least most of its residents, most of its people, not to fall in wokeism. However, regarding its political personnel, its businessmen and businesswomen, this is not the case. And of course, all this happened because many had a great amount of money to earn, especially through the ESG funds. The S, the social one, was something that helped businesses to have seminars regarding woke ideology and how forced exactly seminars. So on the one hand, Greece's people do not believe in wokeism due to its Christian Orthodox heritage. On the other hand, when you are an employee or when you have a political staff that tries to pass legislation that will lead the society into one direction, you cannot easily speak. And the thing with woke in Greece was that it happened rather in a hidden way. It wasn't so obvious as it was in the US, but it had some points and some ways for it to pass under the radar, I would say, until our government succeeded to pass a legislation regarding the marriage between same-sex people and the rights to adopt children. So many will say from the US that this is not a woke policy. Well, I strongly disagree, because when in a society you make marriage something relevant and not something that it's God-given between a man and a woman, then everything from then after is allowed, and everything becomes relative.
You think the government did that to? Because I mean, we still have the exact same government. Do you think they did that to appease the Biden administration back then? So the Democrats, the very woke technocrats in the EU, or did they just do it for their own sake of believing and reflecting wokeism into the Greek society?
Well, I feel, and I cannot prove that, of course, but I feel that our political personnel is adopting policies from the US, regardless of who is in power. Of course, our current government had very close ties to the Democrats, and now that the Trump administration is in power, they try to cooperate because it is the US. On the other hand, I feel that our government, Mr. Mitsotakis, is on the same page with Mr. Macron, on the same page with Keir Starmer, the same page with Merz. So I would say also in the same page with Donald Tusk and also the Spanish Prime Minister. However, they try to cooperate silently due to the fact that they strongly believe that the Trump administration is something that will pass, and the old ways of the Democratic Party will continue after Trump leaves office. So this is what they feel, and they are being patient because this is what they have been they have been used what they have been used to do. So I feel that they haven't changed ideologically, but they are now adapting. But they are adapting until another familiar US government comes in power, rises in power.
You think that's the same across all of the EU or just in Greece?
As I said, I feel, for example, Keir Starmer is the exact same thing, and this is why Mr. Starmer is in a situation very difficult for him, very difficult for the Labour Party. Of course, the UK is not in the EU anymore, but especially after the war in Ukraine, they have been heavily involved, and it seems that although they have left the EU, they still are involved in EU's decision, especially regarding the war in Ukraine. The same applies for Mr. Macron. Mr. Macron is someone that has applied green policies. That's why the Yellow Vest movement has been going on in France, hasn't dealt with mass migration and all the criminality that comes with it. The same applies, of course, for Mr. Starmer, that has managed to enrage the Britons, and it almost feels that a civil war in Britain is undergoing. The same applies for the Spanish Prime Minister. So I think it is a common phenomenon. If you change prime ministers, you would put Mr. Mitsotakis to Britain and Mr. Starmer in Greece, or Mr. Macron in Germany and Mr. Merz in France. It would be the same agenda. So all of these people are trying under the radar to adopt to Trump's presidency because they feel this is a phenomenon that will pass, but it won't pass because the people in the US and the people in Europe are against corporatism, very big companies that want to have a status for their employees that is a status of people that are like slaves. They work a lot.
Cover it up a little bit better than slaves, but overall slaves.
Well, they are slaves in a Huxley
Yeah.
way. They thought that with all these woke policies, freeing drug use, and bringing smart cities into the surface, that they will create um, a utopia that that would feel as a utopia to the citizens of the West. The same environment in their work, the same environment when they return home without families, but the corporation environment is a family environment, and making and using recreational drugs and all this stuff, and having on Netflix during the weekends will make them happy in an apartment that is not theirs, but they will own nothing and they will be happy. So this is what they aim for. But on the other hand, the people in the West know what is going on. And I am optimistic that they will not allow this to continue. So all these leaders, I think, have not analyzed thoroughly the situation. And although Trump maybe won't have another term, on the other hand, there will be leaders that will express the will of the people, and the will of the people is for them to live like people, like common men and women under God, and not under a technocratic, oligarchic administration that will tell them how to live, that they will tell them what they should or should not own, and not, of course, under corporations that will access and will have and will own everything in society, because that's not capitalism, that's corporatism, that's not a free market, that it is a market of monopolies. So I am very optimistic that the people in the West will make those leaders understand that they are the temporary ones and not Trump's and Trumpism ideology.
I admire your optimism, and I sincerely hope for the same. My main counter argument to that would be that we frequently have seen this poison of wokeism, corporatism. I'll stick to corporatism more than wokeism because I think that's where it stems from. But this corporatism has infiltrated cross-party lines, so it sways from left to right depending on what is convenient, and it finds themselves with right wingers in name only or left wingers in name only to serve its purpose. How do you think this wave that is coming, whether it be in France, because France, you are right, for example, is in a situation where a big percentage of its people wants to revolt against Macron, or in Britain, how do you think they'll be able to avoid having fake representatives sort of infiltrating both party lines?
Well, that's actually a very good question. First of all, I'm optimistic because I believe in God, and when you believe in God, you are optimistic that the good in the world will prevail. First of all, it is told in the scriptures. It is told from our Savior Jesus Christ. So I'm very optimistic, and I don't feel fear. Second of all, what they are doing is against human nature. And human nature is created from God. So I don't believe
in its image, in his image.
in his image, exactly. So I don't believe that human nature will succumb to this pressure. Thirdly, I would say that in many events in human history, when all things felt dark and revolutions seemed unorthological, there came moments in our history that great people made great changes. It is a moment not exactly unique in our history, because we have the example of the Roman Empire, when the elites are not in favor, are not aligned with the will of the people, and are not doing things that will make people actually free. However, even after the fall of the Roman Empire, the Eastern Roman Empire was quite alive, and this is underreported in the Western history. And the Eastern Roman Empire fought against barbarism and kept the doors shut. It was because of the Western fallen elites why the Eastern Roman Empire fell, because they could not understand that it was Hannibal on steroids under Pottas. So they allowed what was called Ottoman Empire to be present and bully the Western civilization. So even then, Greece, for example, because you're asking a Greek person, a very small nation like Greece managed, after 400 years of slavery, to beat an empire the length of which started from the Middle East until Spain, to Spain. So there are many instances in human history that what seems impossible becomes possible. And it is also the economic factor. When you see and when you come to realize that during the 80s and 90s, a postman could work without his wife working, and was able to take a loan, raise a family, and buy a house, then you understand that what is going now is towards the wrong direction, and what is happening now is the fault of Western elites that do not understand that there cannot be prosperity for a society when the wealth is accumulated to the few. So the woke scheme is a scheme for the Western hungry elites to stay in power and make this under a regime that will seem democratic when actually it is something that is autocratic.
Right. Well, that's very beautifully said. And I have two follow-up questions that are not completely related between themselves, but they're very close to what you said. The first one is following the revolution and Greek independence. Are you happy with what transcended into Greece in terms of politics from that point onwards up until now, with the exception of the one governor that run the place as it should? Do you think, in terms of politics, everything else happened as it should, and did it progress as it should, and did Greece become the city up on the hill, and did it fulfill its manifest destiny, like the Americans like to say? And the second question is, who do you think is the Eastern Front that keeps on the fire, fighting now as we speak? Because for me, that would be Israel, for example.
Well, first of all, Greece has many peculiarities due to the fact that it is a geopolitical place in the world that is very important. It is a passage that is positioned between the East and the West, and a lot of uh, world's maritime transports and wealth is transferred. So the great powers needed from Greece to be a part in the world that will not become so strong on the one hand. The Ottoman Empire would not fall completely on the other hand. And both of them would be a place in the world where the Russian fleet does not come down to the Greek archipelago and to the Mediterranean. So Greece could not create its own policy, foreign policy or domestic policy, because of the years of foreign powers resulting for Greece not to being a complete independent nation state. On the other hand, when we are talking about the Western Front, of course, Israel is a part of the Western Front, but what the US does not realize is that Turkey is a state with elites that are completely nationalistic. Even it is covered under the sheet of Ottoman rule or theocracy. What Turkey wants is to revive the Ottoman Empire. So, in a way, history is repeating itself. The only question is if the Western powers understand that if Greece falls, then they will all fall, because Turkey's ambition
Won't stop.
won't stop. They want and they have presence in North Africa. They have presence to Turkish-like states like Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and of course also have power even inside China with the Uyghurs. So if Turkey is allowed to fulfill its ambitions, then the Iran regime will seem as a kindergarten. And so this is what, again, the Western powers do not understand. They prefer not a Western power to rise, as Greece should rise, because they fear it will be ultra competitive to the Western powers, and they prefer for Sunni Islamic power to rise when they do not understand that the extreme Islamic culture that Turkey is nurtured with is an anti-Western entity that hates the US, hates the British, hates the French, hates the Greek, hates the Israelis. They think that the Western powers are responsible for the fall of the Ottoman Empire. What this narrative misses, and what the West misses, is that always from the ancient times, it was Persia that attacked the West and Greece. It was the Ottoman Empire that came into our places. It was Suleiman that reached the gates of Vienna. So, if you do not understand history, then you are in danger of history repeating itself.
Well, a lot of people tend to say that Turkey is a far more reliable partner than Greece. That's the argument I've heard on the other side. Um, you are right about what you said about Turkey. The most progressive person, for example, still believes in Turkish nationalism, Kemal being the great Kemal, etc., etc. So they do have this idea, this fostered ideology of Turkish nationalism, even if they cover it under progressivism. So the counter argument I've heard is that Turkey is one of the most reliable partners that they have in the region, in the Mediterranean region. And my question to you is: do you think that is because of bad politicians in Greece? Because Greece could have that place and could overcome that place, or is it because of a distorted, as you mentioned, Western understanding of the role of Turkey and the role of Greece?
Well, I think that the people that are saying this are suffering from Stockholm syndrome, because Turkey is not a reliable partner. Turkey, for example, in the war in the Ukraine, was playing in between Russia and Ukraine. Turkey, regarding its Middle East ambition, it's playing between China and the US, and of course Iran. Turkey was present in some way regarding the gold of Venezuela to help it legalize money. So it was part on Maduro's regime. Turkey also is in favor of terrorist organizations throughout the Middle East that are supported from Iran. Turkey wants to have great relations with China. So Turkey is a strategic partner with Pakistan that persecutes Christians probably more than any other country in the world. Turkey wants to be present in Africa. So I do not understand these people that are saying this as a counter argument. It is because the US is lazy of forming a foreign policy that will not allow Turkey to fulfill its imperial ambitions. They are not national ambitions. They are imperial ambitions. And if you add up the demographic stats that are in place, if you allow Sunni Islamists to unite, then we are talking even for we are talking for a Sunni Islamist regime rising that will be competitive even to China. So if you do not understand demographics, if you do not understand history, if you do not understand Turkey's foreign policy, then you will not understand how a power of this caliber will rise. And even if all the stats and all the history was on the table, then failing to understand these things made you someone that has failed to predict what is in front of you.
So who do you think the West should bring in that dinner table instead of Turkey? Who should be the main powers in the Mediterranean?
First of all, it should be Greece, no doubt about that.
Do you think it can with its current politicians?
Well, the current politicians are in place partly because of the big actors' policy, foreign policy. So, for example, when you have a major multinational company that is trying to extract oil and natural gas both from Greece and from Libya, and makes a strategic partnership with the Turkish state oil company, and the nation and the states of the US does not understand that with this kind of policy, it's helping an Islamic entity to rise that in the end will be antagonistic to the US interest, for example, then you're not helping Greece to have the politicians that Greece should have. That's my first observation. The second observation is that there are some state entities like the UAE, for example, in the Middle East, that are playing a good role. And of course, you have Israel, and you should try to turn Egypt away from Turkey and the Islamistic rule. So I think that these actors can very well play a good part in this transition. And of course, Saudi Arabia is trying to transition
Towards the West, yeah.
but we will see in the end what happens.
Okay. What about Cyprus?
Cyprus, of course. Well, when I talk about Greece, as a Greek that is sentimental, like all Greeks are, I feel Cyprus is Greece.
I was pretty sure that was the case. I just wanted to be heard.
So I believe that the illegal occupation of Cyprus from Turkey is something that should be addressed and readdressed until it stops and until Cyprus is united with Greece. I strongly believe that Greece and Cyprus is one state.
So in a table where Greece and Cyprus sit together, Israel is there. Egypt has turned away from Turkey, and the UAE is also an active player. What kind of policies do you think? First of all, do you think it's going to be accepted by the Greek people or people in the Mediterranean as a whole, as some form of alliance formed there, whether that be a trade alliance between these nations or a military alliance, ideally a military alliance, or a shipping alliance, for example, a maritime alliance? Do you think this will be accepted by the people here? A, and B, what would that table look like, both in terms of utilizing energy, trade, any perspective you want on that?
First of all, I think that it would be applauded because Greece is and will be a part of the IMEC corridor, which is a corridor that starts from India, goes afterwards to Saudi Arabia. From Saudi Arabia, it transits to Israel, from Israel to Cyprus, and from Cyprus to Greece, and from Greece to Europe. So this is a corridor that will help both the economy and regarding the energy part for a Western alliance that will unite under states that are reliable, that have personnel that is highly professional, and will be antagonistic to China's Belt and Road Initiative. So, this kind of planning is wise. Leaving Turkey as a part of it just enhances the Belt and Road Initiative of China, and it's common knowledge that in many cases Islamists in Africa are helping the Chinese and backwards. So it actually needs from the Western powers to understand and to revisit the fall of the Roman Empire and the fall of the Eastern Roman Empire. If they study again thoroughly this history, they will understand that they should not make the same mistake again.
Okay. Fantastic. So, policy wise, there's room, right? Decision making wise, you don't see that room being executed by the current government. So, they're not taking the steps needed. And the way you're describing it, it seems like all you need is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 policy, trade, general agreements in general to put you back as a strong power in this scale of balances of powers in the region. So, why do you think the current government is not doing that?
Greece's current government, or
Greece's. Let's start with Greece's, and we can take it from everywhere.
well, Greece's current government, first of all, is not addressing the Turkish issue on the extent that it should. Declaring a paper that was signed, a friendship declaration, does not make our Western allies understand the extent of the threat Turkey is. Second of all, Greece does not use its veto power in the European Union, except maybe 1 or 2 times, in order to stop the European Union allies to make agreements with Turkey. So, although it has some leverage points, it does not use them.
Why?
It does not use them because I think that our political class is afraid that in a turmoil with Turkey, Greek citizens, disgusted from our political elite, will not support them in the extent that they would think so, or they're afraid that if in such a turmoil they will not handle the situations as they should, because regarding military power, Greece is far stronger than Turkey, especially regarding air force. So there is no question that Greece will probably prevail against Turkey. So we have a political class that feels that it's not legitimized in the eyes of the people. And you can see that with how many voters are absent when elections take place. So they feel that even a slight mistake that will lead to something that it's not planned, it will be the last mistake they make in the sense that they will not be re-elected never again, and a new political system will arise in its place.
Do you think a new political system shall arise in its place, regardless of whether or not you have turmoil with Turkey?
Of course, I feel it should be the case because we have a system after the fall of the junta. It was a military dictatorship in Greece until 1974. We have a political class that, from some point on, did not represent the people's will. So when the agreements regarding Greece's economic decline were made, which were economic agreements through the IMF and through some European guarantees, many people went bankrupt. Many people left Greece and immigrated to Europe, to several European nations, or even the US. And this situation from 2008 and 2009 onwards was not met with the appropriate justice that it should be met. Politicians did not go to jail. The old political class survived, and this has left Greeks with a feeling that the change that should have been made in Greece is not made. So we're not far from changing a political class. As a political scientist, I think this is a fair and not very high risk observation to make.
I like that. I like that observation. And because you also mentioned fear previously, a political class that's shrouded in fear and at the same time is non-reactive to the interests of its people. It's a political class that's filled with cancer. It's a patient waiting to die.
Yes, exactly.
So I feel that ties in a lot. And I want to conclude with this, but I think you left your best for last, to be honest with you. So dying patient, we're not far from that change. Tell me more.
Well, dying is a natural procedure. Every political period comes to an end. So it is like the dying lion when it is wounded and when it's in its last moments, years, months. It is the most dangerous lion to face and to be brought in front of it. So I think this is what is happening to Greece right now. We have a political system that is gradually understanding that it is its last moments of political survival, and The only question is who will represent the new political class. This, of course, is an answer that remains to be given from politicians that understand how they should consolidate Greece's future.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Rafael Kaliviotis, ladies and gentlemen, political scientist, political analyst, right to the bone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
for
much.
joining me. Thank you.